fresh perspective. Thank you so much for coming back to our channel to watch my video. Today's video tips are all about interviewing, mostly for the employer. The team have done separate video topics to help candidates with interview tips, tricks and techniques so they can ace them and land their dream job. My job here today is to help the employers woo, sparkle, engage and ultimately secure the very best talent for their vacancies. It doesn't matter how engaging and communicative and exciting and enthusiastic your recruitment campaign is if your interviews are as dull as dishwater. So you might have someone, your internal recruiter is running your campaigns with pizzazz and excitement, finding you amazing candidates who are well excited, and then you could have Colin from accounts who's not the most exciting of people, doing your interviews, representing your business, trying to get people excited and engaged in your journey and your opportunity. You need to pick the best people for your interviews who will best display your organisation, whatever that might be. If you are a more sensible business and the opposite of Fresh, you might want Colin doing your interviews. At Fresh, that wouldn't work because people will be very confused about the brand message. So before any interview, decide who your interview team is. Who have you got on the bench waiting to go on to the pitch and conduct your interviews in the best way possible. It might not be the hiring manager for the vacancy or the head of the department. They might not be the best person for the interview. It will be somebody linked to the department that person is going into. But it needs to be someone who will come across in an engaging, passionate and ultimately exciting and enthusiastic way to sell to the candidates. You don't rock up to your first dates in a bad mood, with nothing to say and a face like thunder, expecting a second date. Well, it's no different in your interviews. You need to sparkle and engage. So not only do you decide who's going to be in them, you need to prep for the interview itself. What you're going to ask, what do you want to get out of the interview? And that is based around the job. So if you're looking for a salesperson, you want them to be ambitious, hungry to succeed, tenacious, resilient, engaging, communicative, have a good personality, be a good rapport and relationship builder, and someone who has maybe overcome some challenges, has thick skin and can overcome objections. So then you need to factor that into your questions. So ask about resilience, ask about challenges that they've overcome. You can ask things about work ethic, like when did they have their first job? Statistically, the people that have jobs when they're younger have a better work ethic as they get older and beyond. So think about what it is you want to pull out of the interview. What do you need to know from each candidate to know if that person is the one for you? And then figure out the questions from there. So just walk it back. So have your questions prepped, have your team prepped. It's not death by competency-based question. They are so 1990s. You just need to ask more thoughtful, engaging, captivating questions because everything you say and ask and respond to in an interview sends a message. So if you're asking the wrong questions or you're asking negative questions, that message is going to be conveyed to the candidate. Much like if they asked you, you've done your best pitch ever, and at the end of the interview, you ask them if they've got any questions, and they say no, except for, what's your sick pay policy? I mean, that's not a good question to ask in an interview, and that immediately makes you think negatively about the candidate, that is what they're thinking about in an interview scenario, and it makes you think certain things about what they'd be like as an employee. So remember that all questions send messages, so use your questions to display personality, and that is key. What is the culture of your business? What is the personality of the people in it and the work environment? Because that is what needs to be conveyed in the interviews through the small talk at the beginning when you're putting them at ease, your questions and your responses. Another tip is make sure you let everybody in the building know. If it's only two of you, that's fine. If you're a bigger organisation, make sure you let reception know and other people in the business, because then they can just smile and greet them as they arrive, because first impressions count for a lot. So organise your interviews, book them into calendars, book out a room. There's nothing worse as an interviewee following someone around a building whilst they try and find an empty meeting room to have their interview in. People want to feel valued and thought about. So book a room, book it in calendars, let everybody know, book it in with the candidate as well. You might not put it in their calendar unless you're a recruiter, but make sure you're following up with email confirmations. Oh, I don't know if you can see Lenny's thinking about coming in. Maybe he's got some interview tips he wants to share, but you need to prepare. So it's not scripted, it's not forced, it's not robotic, but you've organised, you've got your shiz together. The candidate feels like you've got it together. They are impressed, they're engaged, they're excited, and they cannot wait for that offer to come through because they definitely want to say yes. Like I said at the beginning, it is a two-way street, so make them relax. You know, grilling candidates to within an inch of their life is not how it's done these days. It's supposed to be of equal footing. They're interviewing you to see if you're the best option for them, so they should ask questions, they should come prepared, and you're interviewing them to see if they're the best candidate for you. Also, beforehand, figure out your stages. Is it a two-stage process? Have you got a telephone interview first? We would always recommend a telephone interview because at the moment, candidate ghosting is rife, counter-offers, left, right and centre. Candidates are behaving in a really weird way. So if you're watching this video in the future, it is 2023. And people are just accepting the first offer that's given to them and not going to the rest of the interview. So telephone interviews give that extra bit of engagement directly from you. So if they do get an offer, because they've already had a bit of your excitement, passion and personality, their interest is a bit more piqued. So even if they have an offer, they still might come to your interview before they make a decision, and that is ultimately what you want. We would always recommend a trial as well. So do your telephone interview, do your first stage, and then when you get them to come back, rather than just sitting in another meeting room asking questions again, try and get them to do some elements of the job with the teams. For example, at Fresh, we get them to do some calls to candidates, we get them to upload some CVs onto our database, we get them to write the bio for the website and a social media caption. Do also have to make a brew round for the team, which is not as simple as it sounds. Do a chair race across the office and get a random fact of information, because it means they engage with the team so everybody knows whether they'll fit in or not. Sorry, I was just distracted by someone in the dishwasher. Thanks, Tom. Completely lost my train of thought. Yes, the trial. So you get to engage with the teams know whether they fit and vice versa. You get to check the written work, their system work and their communication skills on the phone. So have a think whether you could put together something like that for your vacancy. So I think that's it. I'm done with interview tips today. So go forth and conquer your interviews.